Thank you. Hare Krishna Prabhu, please accept my humble obeisances. I have a question. I have two questions related to each other. So first, is it correct to consider all Vaishnavas lecturers as a shiksha guru, like lecturers who are giving on Sunday program, for example, or you when you're answering now for questions and answers? And second question, is it considered as an offense when one disagrees with lecturer, shiksha guru, right, and speak it up? Because sometimes shiksha guru can also make some mistakes. So is it considered as offense and better to not speak up and just, forget about it?
Actually, very good question, Adi. Thanks for bringing that thing up. Yes, anyone who is, giving lecture and we are, the receiving end, then person becomes definitely shiksha guru. Now, many times, in our ISKCON structure, it happens that, the senior Vaishnavas, they may try to train the new devotees to come up and give speech and, give presentations.
Yes.
And in that case, also such a person, like I remember in early days in our Chapari temple, we were actually trying to push everyone to give lecture. Especially Gauranga Prabhu wanted everyone to give lectures.
Mm-hmm.
But then some of the devotees, they couldn't. They tried to give lecture, but they would commit mistakes while presenting the philosophy, and they were not really inclined to do that. So then we screened out, okay, these devotees, they are not really inclined and they don't have that ability to present. So then, they were screened out. And that means they were not allowed to, after that, they were never asked to give presentations. So when we are actually, having such a scenario where the devotees are being encouraged to come up and start preaching, there might be some time, you may see that somebody is not presenting philosophy properly or is inappropriately, giving the siddhanta. So then we have to respectfully refer to, not to the person who's giving speech, but to the person who may be authority, who can actually, present it, or who can actually correct the situation. And as far as disagreement is concerned, that's understandable, but disagreement should be, because many times, it may happen that our understanding is incorrect, and we may try to see the fault in others. When there is a disagreement, that should be presented to some senior Vaishnava. Both the views should be brought to his position, and the person who actually has understanding of the scriptures, who can bring the references from the scriptures and reconcile the opposing views. But it's perfectly all right to be in disagreement. The most important thing is how we deal with that disagreement. We don't just, when the person is actually giving presentation, we should not bring it up in front of everyone. We may actually present it in a very humble way, quoting from the scripture and trying to clear our doubts, but it should be done in the mood of, I could be wrong, but this is what my understanding is. So I'm ignorant. That should be the idea of bringing up. If we see some opposing view, the first and foremost idea should be, I am ignorant. I don't have the complete knowledge. And which is true. We do not have the complete knowledge of the scriptures. The scriptures are, many times we think, okay, for example, I always remember the episode of Prithu Maharaj. Prithu Maharaj is trying to perform yajna. And Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, yajna arthat karmano anyatra lokoyam. One should perform yajna, otherwise he is bound by the karma. And here's Prithu Maharaj, who is Shaktavesha avatar of the Lord, and he is performing yajna. And there's another devotee, Indra, who's trying to hinder his yajna just because he's feeling insecure, because he's feeling competitive, which is completely material consciousness. So his consciousness is completely material, whereas Prithu Maharaj's only intention was he wanted to perform yajna to please Vishnu. He was setting an example as the ideal king, that how the king should perform yajnas to please Krishna or Vishnu. And that was his only intention. And yet we see when he's about to perform the 100th yajna, Indra comes and tries to create disturbance, steals the horse. And then the Mahajan, Brahma, who's actually our first Acharya in our line, he comes and doesn't chastise Indra. He tells Prithu Maharaj, you don't do yajna. Now, which is completely appear to be contradictory to scriptures and Krishna's instructions. Why Brahmaji should be telling Prithu Maharaj, you don't perform yajna? He could have chastised Indra, right? But he's telling, you don't perform yajna because this is making Indra insecure. And the ultimate purpose of yajna is to please Vishnu, which you already done it. Krishna is actually pleased with you. So you don't have to perform yajna more. And actually that was the truth. When Prithu Maharaj agreed that, okay, he will not perform any more yajnas, the Supreme Lord personally appeared in the yajna and he actually blessed Prithu Maharaj. He was, and just imagine, Prithu Maharaj decides to not perform yajna and Krishna is pleased. Yeah, Prithu Maharaj said, no, Krishna is saying that we should perform yajna. How can you tell me? You tell him. So the scriptural, the conclusion of scriptures are actually very, very intricate, and only the great souls who are actually realized in their knowledge can come up with the proper conclusion, which will actually be pleasing to Krishna. So even if sometime we have disagreement, we should present it in a very humble mood that I am ignorant. This is what my understanding is. Okay. It should not be done in the challenging mood. Okay. I hope that answers your question, Madhuri.
Thank you very much, Prabhu. Yes, thank you.
Prabhu, can I comment?
Yes, Madhuri, please go ahead.
I was just thinking in our real life when we do service so many times, it is, like how Prithu Maharaj agreed to step back. He didn't want to do the 100th Ashwamedha Yajna to cause a concern to Indra. But there's so many, in the process of doing services, there are many situations where we come across where you could actually, put forward your name that you're the one who did the service, or people will appreciate and things like that. But then without doing that, when you put everybody else ahead of you and you go back, I was just trying to remember that situation where there's some wonderful devotees who show us that they go back and they project everybody else as important, and that way Krishna is actually seeing them, right, Prabhu?
Yes, definitely. Krishna is actually much more pleased.
But that's the most difficult thing to do when you're doing a service. I was also thinking, I understand theoretically, I don't know practically, but I was just thinking, like, you remain the salt in the preparation. People never get to know you are part of it, but you could be the force behind it. And I was also remembering Radhesham Prabhu telling once that when he took the leadership position in Pune, he told Maharaj, it seems that I don't want to do this service. Maharaj said that you do this service and make sure nobody knows you are actually the leader for the temple. So it should be like that. So I was just remembering that. Thank you, Prabhu.
Thank you. Thank you very much for bringing that point.
Oh, sorry. Sachinanda Gauranga Prabhu, you can ask next question.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam. So Prabhuji, when you mentioned about today's quote, I recollect one thing, Prabhu. Actually, Matru Bhava, Pitru Deva Bhava, Acharya Deva Bhava, Atideva Bhava. So all those are gods, right, Prabhuji? So how to understand? I have a question and point also. Sorry, Prabhuji. So my question is how to understand Prahlad and one can ignore guidance. Please explain, Prabhuji.
Yes, Maji, that's a very nice question. Thank you. Very practical situations. The most important principle that Prabhupada was telling in today's quote is, yes, they will guide, but what is the guidance they are supposed to provide? That is very crucial. The father is representative of God. The guru is representative of God. The king is representative of God, but what they are supposed to provide in guidance. Because they guide, right? So guidance should be how to become Krishna conscious. In fact, Bhagvatam says that all these gurus, all these guides, they should be capable of guiding their dependents. Na mochayet samupeta mrityam. They should be able to guide the dependents to stop this repetition of birth and death by becoming devotees of Krishna, by going back home, back to Godhead. If they cannot do it, then they have no right to take the role of the guide, the role of the king or a guru or a father. So providing guidance is very, very crucial and important. Just providing some good facilities for living and enjoying the sense gratification is not really the function of any of those guides. Because, for example, if the king is making good arrangements for all the citizens to live a life of sense gratification by committing immense sinful activities, like say, for example, one thing I really admired after I came to US is the administration system. They have such excellent administration. They do have actually administration. In India, it is so chaotic. You can see the complete contrast. Chanakya Pandit says the country becomes beautiful by good administration. Country looks beautiful by good administration. And here you can see the country looks beautiful because there is a good administration. The roads are clean. It's not by chance, because there is some effort is being put. Weekly, there is a cleaning on the roads. And similarly, there is a full-fledged administration system in terms of how the garbage and sewage is disposed. Not that everywhere you see the garbage piles now, like in India, you see very common. They're learning it, but this is a sign of good administration. So this good administration is praiseworthy, but what they're doing with this administration, they're providing facility for all the people in the country to go to hell. They may have good facilities now, but after this life, they go to the hellish condition of life because they are meat eater, gamblers, intoxicator, woman hunters. So the net result is, after this life, most of the population is heading towards the abode of Yamaraj to suffer immensely. So that is not the duty of the king. So similarly, the father, in case of Hiranyakashipu, he wanted to make Prahlad also a thoroughly materialistic person who is simply interested in sense enjoyment and like what do you call it? In modern terminology, you say control freak. That's how Hiranyakashipu was. He was a control freak, and he wanted his son also to be like that, to control the whole universe, to control everyone. And to disregard such instructions of father is not something that is inappropriate. Similarly, in case of Bali Maharaj, who is another Mahajan in the family of Prahlad Maharaj, he disregarded Guru's instruction. Disregarding Guru's instruction is considered serious violation. In fact, among the sinners, there is a particular word used in the scriptures as pataki. Pataki means the person who has done tremendous sins. Among the sinners, the topmost sinner is called pataki. Pataki is the word used for the topmost sinners. Okay. So one of the qualification, or you can say one of the things that makes a person pataki is disrespecting or disregarding Guru's instruction. that person actually becomes Pataki. So just imagine, Bali Maharaj is glorified for disregarding Guru's instruction, because his Guru was guiding him against surrender to Vishnu. Bali Maharaj would have disregarded if he would have obeyed the Guru's instruction, he would not have been able to save even his kingdom, which Shukracharya was so much worried about. Because if Krishna wants something, he can take away in any way. Even if not by begging, by some other way, Krishna would have taken it away. So that's a temporary gain. But Bali Maharaj, he was very much obliged to give everything to Vishnu. So therefore, when the Guru's instruction came against, the principle of surrendering to Vishnu, then he disregarded. And he's glorified for that. He's not condemned for it. So whether Guru, whether the king, or the father, or any authority is teaching a person to go against Krishna or not to serve Krishna, then that authority should be rejected. And there's nothing wrong in that. I remember in early days when many brahmacharis were joined in the Chapari temple. So, sometime the brahmachari would come with the question, Maharaj, my father was saying that, see Lord Ramchandra, how he was so obedient to his father, and he attained such exalted position by being obedient to father. He's glorified for that. How can you be disobedient? So you don't have to join the temple. I don't give you the permission to join the temple. So you shouldn't. So Maharaj actually gave a nice reply. He said, if the father is saying like that, then you should, of course, in a respectful way, you should not be challenging your father, but in a respectful way, say, when Vishwamitra Muni came to ask for Ramachandra from Maharaj Dashrath, Maharaj Dashrath handed over his son to Vishwamitra Muni, knowing well that Vishwamitra Muni wants him to kill the demons. Where, his son, because Dashrath was not aware of his position of the son being Supreme Lord. So he was afraid that he could even die. So he still handed over his son, Ram and Lakshman, to Vishwamitra Muni. So if the father is of that caliber, then the son should never disobey. So tell your father, are you willing to? And if he is willing to, then I'll come and ask for you. So just imagine. So many times people, they may come up with the arguments for exploitative purpose. But the real qualification of a guru or a father or a spiritual master is he guides the dependents to become Krishna conscious. I hope that answers your question, Madhuri.
Yes, Prabhuji. Thank you so much, Prabhuji. So I have a following question. So parents are like consider they have to, one has to give high respect to them, right? So whatever their position is, whatever actions negative, in a negative sense they are doing, but still we have to give respect to them. Is it correct, Prabhu?
Yes, Mati, that's right. Just like, Brihad Maharaj, in spite of his father trying to kill him, he never became disrespectful. You never find any disrespectful statement by Prahlad Maharaj to his father. Even when his father was killed by Lord Narasimhadev, he actually prayed to Lord Narasimhadev to make sure that my father doesn't have to go to hell on account of being inimical towards you. So, there is absolutely no reason why the children should be disrespectful to the parents. Even if the parents have been, inappropriately behaving, still the children should continue. What to speak of parents? Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says to respect everyone, amani na manade. Even we should learn to respect an ant. Ant is insignificant. It's crawling in the corner of the room. Nobody really knows the existence of the ant. And even if you crush the ant under your foot, nobody really cares. Doesn't create any loss in the universe. Yet, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's teachings are, Prabhupada actually said we should learn to even respect an ant. So there's absolutely no question of not respecting one's parents. One should always know that the parents, even if sometimes they behave, which is not very appropriate from Krishna conscious perspective, they are the well-wishers. The only intention they have is to wish well to their children. Even Hiranyakashipu, when he was trying to teach Prahlad, the materialistic way of life, his only intention was he wanted to see his son Prahlad to be happy. In his own way, he wanted to see Prahlad to be happy. So one should never be disrespectful to anyone, and least to speak of one's parents.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Wonderful question. Dandavat pranams.
Baladev Prabhu, would you like to ask?
Sure, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Can you share some pastimes of Srivas Pandit Prabhu, Srivas Pandit Thakur?
Sure, Prabhu.
Today's disappearance is.
Yeah, I saw the disappearance of Srivas Pandit. So, there are, of course, so many pastimes of Srivas Pandit, but there are actually a couple come to my mind, but I'll just discuss one today. Srivas Pandit was a householder. He was, his wife was Malini Devi, and he had three more brothers, Shri Ram, Shripati, and Srinidhi. There were four brothers which were very dear to Lord Chaitanya, because all four were pure devotees of the Lord. So, Srivas Pandit, he would never, had any business or any job to do. He never went to any office to work, a 9 to 5 job, or he never had any business to do. So one time Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu asked Srivas Pandit.
Offer water to Surya Dev.
So he asked Srivas Pandit, Srivas, you're a householder, you have family. How do you propose?
Offer water to Surya Dev.
How do you propose to maintain your family if you don't even do any job, if you don't do any work? How you maintain your family? Can you explain? And Srivas Pandit said, yes, my dear Lord, I can explain. So he just clapped. 1, 2, 3. Lord Chandra says, what is this? I asked you how you propose to maintain your family. Could you please explain? Could you explain the meaning of this? You clap 3 times and say 1, 2, 3. So Srivas Pandit said, my dear Lord, this is my vow. I have taken this oath. If my family and myself have to fast for 3 days, I don't remember if he said 3 days or 3 meals. He said, if I fast for 3 meals or 3 continuous days and I don't get the food, I will tie a stone around my neck and drown myself in Ganga. And Lord Chaitanya said, what did you say, Srivas? What did you say, that if you have to fast for 3 days? My dear Srivas, you are so dear to Krishna. In that other way, Sri Chaitanya was saying that he was so dear to Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He said, you are so dear to Krishna. Even if the time comes where Lakshmi Devi has to take a bowl in the hand and go begging from door to door, there will be no scarcity of grains and all the necessities in your home. Krishna will always provide you sufficient, no matter whether you go to work or not. So from this, actually, 2 beautiful siddhantas come very, to the illumination. One is the unflinching faith of Srivas Pandit. That the principle that we say, one of the principle of Sharanagati is that Krishna will maintain and protect his devotees. Rakshite iti vishvaso. One should have complete faith in Krishna. Srivas Pandit had such unflinching faith. And anyone who has such unflinching faith in Krishna, the second principle is becomes very dear to Krishna. Such a person will never be deprived of anything. So this is a beautiful siddhanta that comes out from this pastime. Because there are many beautiful pastimes of Srivas Pandit that I think, keeping time in consideration, we will.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
So, thank you for sharing this, Prabhuji.
Sukeshwari Mataji.
Thank you, Prabhu. Actually, the question that I had, Pranagopika Mataji also asked, so I got the answer for that, Prabhu. But can I ask another one?
Sure, Mataji, go ahead.
So the one that Prabhu, you were just answering to Prabhuji, Prabhu, but in modern context, we cannot totally be, I mean, even if we have faith, we'll have to work, right, Prabhu? I mean, Srivas Thakura was able to not work and continuously do chanting. Even if we personally want, we have mortgages to go with, school fees to go. So I'm just trying to think, how do we practically apply it to our lives?
Mataji, actually, in all these years, I have known one thing. Whether we have mortgage bills to pay, and no matter how many bills we have to pay, the bills don't get paid because I'm working. The bills get paid because Krishna is making arrangement. And this one can see and realize when one start analyzing his or her own life right from the beginning of one's existence. Whatever you can remember throughout your life, you'll see that all my necessities are being provided and maintained by Krishna. I have seen so many such examples, even including my own life. Most of my life, I never worked 9 to 5 job. It's only since last 5 years I started working. But Krishna has always provided. Krishna has always provided all the necessities of life. And I think I have discussed this before also, but one of the person I knew in Bay Area, he was for 5 years in bedridden, living in Bay Area, and he was not really, rich person or not. He was actually hand-to-mouth person. If he doesn't work one day, next day he doesn't have anything, just to pay the rent and basic necessities of life. He had to work every day. 5 years he was bedridden, and he was provided by Krishna. Of course, it came through some insurance, but he didn't even have money to pay for insurance. We were working in some gas station where he had, workers' compensation insurance from the owner, and that actually provided him for 5 years. So, factually, and then even before coming to Krishna consciousness, I had seen one of my very close friend, family friend, in Mumbai. His sister had a terminal disease, which till this day has no cure in medical, history. There is no cure for that disease. It's called thalassemia. And she had the thalassemia, and she was at the verge of death. They were not rich. They didn't have any money. They were hardly paying the bills for giving her blood every month. But somehow that Krishna's arrangement, she survived. She not only survived, she got cured of the disease, and she's living till this day. The disease which doesn't have any cure in the medical history, she's cured of the disease and she's living. And she didn't have money to pay for the treatment. So the statement of Brihad Maharaj that if a medical practitioner, there is no medical assistance, no money, if Krishna gives protection, the person will survive, which is very difficult to believe. But I saw that happening. And I remember one of our God brother, he once was telling Gaurang Prabhu that the aim of my life is I want to earn 1 crore rupees. He was in India that time, say 1 crore Indian rupees annually. Gaurang Prabhu made a very beautiful statement. He said, whether you make 1 crore or you make 100 crores annually, don't forget that Krishna is the one who maintains everyone. Your 100 crores or crores are not going to maintain you. It's Krishna who's going to maintain you. It's such a profound statement. No? One cannot actually even speak such a statement until unless has seen or realized such a thing. No? So it's actually a fact. Krishna is the one who maintains everyone. Yes, we have to do the job. We have to do the needful things. But know one thing for sure, it's not our job. It's not our salary. It's not our business profit that's maintaining us. It is Krishna who's maintaining us.
Thank you so much, Prabhuji. I was just thinking, that's so true, because I understand the concept the other way, where you should not over endeavor, even if you work very hard to, like as you said, you want to earn 1 crore a year or something like that. If you work very hard, there are some people who earn it very easily, even without working hard. There are some people who will work so hard but still not get it. So I'm just feeling that we are like really puppets in the hands of the three modes and the material nature, where we are just provided everything and we just think that we are the one who are providing ourselves. Yeah, very nice point, Prabhuji. Thank you so much.
Hey.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Sudhir Sekhi Mataji, you can go ahead.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam, Jai Srila Prabhupada. Prabhuji, today we read in Brihad Bhagavatamrita in text 11 that Sankarshana is always present with Krishna and he has 1,000 heads. And this Sankarshana appears as Baladeva. So actually Baladeva is a source of Sankarshana, right? But why it is mentioned like Sankarshana appears as Baladeva?
So when it talks about Sankarshan appears as Baladev, it's talking about the appearance in the material world. In the absolute sense, Baladev is the source of Sankarshan. But when it comes to the material world, the incarnation in the material world, the Baladev appears through the Sankarshan. Prabhupada actually mentions all the incarnations in the universe, they appear through Shirodakshai Vishnu. Okay. So, for example, Bhumi Devi and Brahma and all, they go to Shirasagar and Shirodakshai Vishnu says, I will appear. I will appear and kill Kamsa and all the demonic people. But who appeared? Krishna appeared, right? It's not Shirodakshai Vishnu appeared, but it's Krishna appeared. So similarly, when in the material universe, whenever there's an incarnation of the Lord, the Baladev takes his incarnation through Sankarshan. But that doesn't mean that Sankarshan is the source of Baladev. In materials, in the incarnation in the material world, you can say yes in one way, because Baladev appeared through Sankarshan. But in absolute sense, Baladev is the source of not only Sankarshan, but all the incarnations.
Thank you so much, Prabhu. It clarifies. Hare Krishna.
Thank you,
Prabhu,
Prabhu.
Prabhu, can I ask quickly a follow-up question on that, or should I wait?
Prabhuji, there are so many people having questions. Can you ask at the end?
Okay, yeah, just follow up to that. Okay, I'll ask later.
Pavani Bhakti Mataji, you can go ahead.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, Dandavat Pranam. My question is, what is the significance of when the person is dying, we give the ashes to Mother Ganga? The ritual, what is the significance of it, Prabhu?
Well, this is there in Ramayana when the 10,000 sons of Maharaj Sagar, they were actually burned to ashes because of their offense to Kapila Muni. Then they attain actually the Preta Yoni. Preta Yoni means they cannot be delivered until unless their ashes are actually washed away by the water. And no matter whatever amount of water they brought, the ashes kept consuming all the water. So they needed some water, some sacred water, which could actually wash away the ashes. The ashes were lying in the pile. So therefore, it was suggested to Sagar Maharaj, his I think son or grandson Amshuman, that they have to request for descent of Ganges. They have to please Mother Ganga to come to the earth and wash away these ashes. So Mother Ganga has to come to that place to wash away the ashes. Only she can wash away the ashes. So that's why the descendants of Maharaj Sagar, they actually started worshipping Mother Ganga. Amshuman tried, and some other kings tried, but they couldn't. Finally, Bhagirathi was the one who pleased Mother Ganga, and she agreed that I will come. And then he worshipped Lord Shiva to accept Ganga on her head, on his head actually. So Ganges water is considered offering liberation from the Preta Yoni. The person whose ashes are actually put in Ganga, if the person was, according to the karma, was destined to become Preta, Preta Yoni means the Yoni where the person actually suffers immensely. So from that position, the person is liberated. So therefore they say, if you offer the ashes in Ganga, then the person is actually liberated from Preta Yoni.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Dandavat Pranam. Nice. Thank you so much. Hare Krishna.
Sachinanda Madhav Prabhu, you can ask.
So, Prabhuji, does Virat Rupa always exist, or it just goes back or comes back while Lord Vishnu's?
We should always remember one thing: Virat Rupa is material. And material means it's manifested, unmanifested. It's not eternal. Anything material is because material creation is eternal in the sense that it is sometimes manifest, sometimes unmanifested. But similarly, the universal form is sometimes manifested, sometimes not manifested. So when Mahavishnu breathes in, all the universes are gone in his body. That time, the universal form does not exist. But the universal form exists when the material creation is again set in motion, when Mahavishnu breathes out. So all the universes are out, that means universal form is existing.
Thank you, Prabhuji. So I'll just allow one more question. We are at 8 o'clock. Sachinanda Gaurang Prabhu, you asked a follow-up question, right? You can just answer. That will be the last.
Thank you, Prabhu. Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Pranam. The BB, the Sankarshan, right? Like Baladeva, we heard Baladeva, Lakshmana are came from Ādi Śesha, right? So what is Ādi Śesha and Sankarshana? Like means Ādi Śesha is source of Sankarshana, or Baladeva is source of Ādi Śesha, or how do we understand that?
I think let's discuss it in absolute sense, how the hierarchy comes. Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And the very first expansion of Krishna is Balarama. Baladeva is the very first expansion from Krishna. Okay. This Balarama expands himself into the 4 quadruples, the Vasudeva, Sankarshan, Pradyumna, Aniruddha. He expands himself into these quadruple forms. And all the spiritual and material creations take place through these 4 quadruples. Sankarshan further expands into Narayan. Narayan further expands into again another quadruple, Vasudeva, Sankarshan, Pradyumna, Aniruddha. This second Sankarshan actually becomes the source of Mahavishnu, expands himself into Mahavishnu. And from Mahavishnu comes the material creation. So, Shesha, Ananta Shesha, and all other forms are nothing but further expansions from down the line. So, Baladev is actually the source of all the incarnations. Whenever we say that Sankarshan appear as Baladeva, it's only talking about in the material world. When the Supreme Lord Baladeva appears, he appears through Sankarshan. So, in absolute sense, is actually the source of all the forms of the Lord, including Rama, Narasimha, Varaha. All those forms are further expansion from Baladeva.
Oh, Baladeva, Rama is also from Baladeva.
All the forms are further expansion from Baladeva.
Thank you, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Prabhu, we can stop here.
Yes, Prabhu, I think we can stop here. Thank you. Thank you very much. Vancha
Kalpatarubhyascha
Kalpataru.
Pavanabhyo Vaishnavabhyo Namo Namaha. Hare Krishna. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Prabhuji.